Uh, Well, let me start by complimenting my opponent first. So Nashville has been an interesting inclusion to our league. Gary's done a great job, and the way they play and the amount of draws that they had last year and the year before, and their success has always been based around, being really solid defensively. They took some wind out of our sails. The tempo wasn't very fast tonight, and that's how they play. And so credit to him, that was, his game plan, and it worked. Second of all, what I would say is that for us, it's always more challenging and difficult to create things than it is to destroy things, okay? And so when we kind of had to shuffle the deck a little bit during preseason, we put a lot of energy into different things, but, Jordan was there, but JP wasn't, and Nico's coming back, and, Albert's coming in, and we've got some moving parts. I don't think we're quite in sync. So how we figure that out will be a work in progress. The specifics to that for tonight, in my opinion, were I didn't think we created enough tempo. Just the game was slow. When they got a goal kick, they took their time. A throw in, they took their time. I mean, we can actually, on our goal kicks, put the ball fast in play. Or on a throw-in, don't wait for the left back just to throw the ball in, because that's what you're supposed to do. The closest guy, grab the ball, throw the ball in fast, and create some tempo on our own. And we just never were able to, until they scored the goal. Then you saw the team kind of rise up, then we played a little faster, but don't wait till your opponent scores before you try and create tempo. We set some goals today, some smaller goals than what we already had in playing at home, playing here, and we're gonna try and, play with more tempo whenever we're at home. So that's a concrete thing that we're gonna try and work on. And then some of the small nuances of, when we change the point of attack, knew who gets the ball from right to left. Okay, what's his next move? Okay, he needs help. Conversely, on the opposite side, if the ball goes into Christian in the pocket, what's Alex doing? What is our center forward doing? Some of those things, we'll work on that. Those are the little nuances that are a little harder to get. But in general, we needed to play faster tonight.
Brian, how would you articulate your? Are you frustrated with your home form? Do you look back to last year and know you didn't do as well at home as you wanted to do? Is this a particularly frustrating aspect?
What was our final tally on the home versus road? Or are you talking about just the last 6 games?
Well, I mean, you did finish with the fewest home points.
Okay, but we were really good on the road.
You were.
So that's a positive. I'm not so sure, Jeremiah, that I would be concerned about our home form. I think if you probably did a deeper dive of our statistical analysis over 5 years or since '09, our home form's probably pretty good. But again, I think there's been times where we struggled when teams kind of, take the air out of the balloon. I think you're spot on there. I think there's some times that happens to us, and how do we correct that? That again is just back to the whole tempo thing and how we play a little faster at home.
Go to Chris Francis in the back row there.
Hey Brian, now you talked about not being in sync and the chemistry. How do you develop that with so many players coming in and out of the lineup in the next 2-3 weeks? It's difficult to do.
Well, we were just back there as a coaching staff already working on the training plan. We've given the players 2 days off, but us coaches, we're gonna get right back at it. We'll watch the film tomorrow, and we'll devise some training plans. There is some squad rotation just because of the sheer volume of, we've got RSL, then we've got Champions League game, then we've got the Galaxy, then another Champions League, and then Austin. I mean, we've got a pretty tight schedule this first month of the season, so it's not gonna be easy. What we tried to do is, what we're talking about in there actually is just kind of simplifying things. Okay, what are the what are the simple things that we can drill into our guys that will be effective, whether it's a starting group or a mixed group or some reserves that are sprinkled in, young guys that are going in. What are the key attacking points, and then what are the 3 defending things that we want to work on specific to 4-2-3-1? Because I don't think that the next couple of games will change from that. If things don't start to turn around for us, then we might tinker a little bit. But let's simplify it for the players.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Buenas.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Está por los antecedentes, el Sanders ha demostrado ser un equipo de contrastes. ¿Cómo explicar la diferencia de un partido a otro apenas hace unos días? Si bien es cierto se trata de un campeonato y un equipo distinto, ¿cómo explicar un 5-0 hace 2 días con una derrota el día de hoy?
Due to previous experiences, I came up with the idea that Sounders is a team of contrasts. How to explain the differences in between these 2 games where you have a game on Thursday where you win 5-0, and then 3 days after you have a game like this where you are not able to score a goal?
Well, the 2 games and the 2 competitions are a little different. What I would say is that Motagua was very different to Nashville. The teams are opposite. Motagua wanted to press higher up the field. They were playing direct. They had more, energy and pushed higher up the field, where our opponent tonight was very solid in their defending. So I think number 1, it's just the teams are different. And then number 2, we got an early goal from Nico on a corner kick, and early goals in games open up things sometimes. And had we scored 1 goal in the first half, maybe Nashville has to come out, then maybe we have more chances to score more goals in the second half.
In terms of up-tempo in the game, do you ever give any thought, because Christian Roldan was up, pushed up, maybe you pressing with Jordan Morris on the side to kind of your press create?
You're talking about defending and creating more chances?
Exactly, using your defense to create kind of a transitional type thing.
Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, again, active defending is when we have possession up here and the center backs and either a holding midfielder or the opposite outside back come in, that's active defending. The other principle that we have all the time is immediate chase. You can kind of counter pressure, there's 100 different ways to call it. But yes, whenever we lose possession of the ball, we want to try and recover it as quickly as possible. Okay, so that's another one. The other thing that we worked on, actually, because you mentioned Christian's actually very smart. He understands, when the ball is transferring from the right to the left on your opponent's side of the field, he sometimes does a good job of reading the play and putting pressure on a center back. I think that's things that we want to try and accomplish. But we certainly didn't get many transition moments when the ball turned over. We didn't have that tonight.
Nico?
Brian, one of the highlights continues to be Obed Vargas, and how composed and off the roll he just looks apart. Christian said that he reminds him a lot of himself, and said that he sees him as a starter at some point in this team. Just wanted to know your take on that.
Yeah, I would agree with Christian's assessment that Obed reminds me a lot like Christian when he was young. I would agree with that. The kid has a good feel for the game. He's not afraid. I mean, starting him in a CONCACAF Champions League game down in Honduras, that was a big challenge for him, and he rose to that. I think he had good moments tonight. There were times when he wasn't in the game perhaps as much as we would have liked, but you cannot argue about the kid's heart, his desire, his character. character. You know, I mean, the other night he was waving the crowd up. Tonight, some of his tackles, some of the stuff he did, you know, I thought he was great. But again, there's room to grow. And, you know, certainly if he continues to develop, then, you know, there certainly is a conversation to be had as to whether he starts or not. But I think we're a little premature on that.
I think he meant in the future, but yes.
Future? I hope we can keep him around long enough for him to have a future here. How about that?
I like it.
Room this morning. I don't care. I don't care what game it is, what competition, Open Cup, Champions League, regular season. Every game, Mickey, every single game matters. I don't care who I put on the field. I don't care who's a starter. I don't care who's not starting. Every game for this franchise means something. And I don't buy into the fact of teams that put everything into Champions League can't make the playoffs. I don't buy into the fact that teams that go to MLS Cups don't make the playoffs in the following year. I don't buy into any of that. The culture, the winning culture of this club is the next game's the most important. RSL's the next important. That's the most important game. And then we'll take Lyon, and then we'll take the Galaxy. We'll go Lyon again. We will take each game as an individual opportunity for this club, for young players, for old players, to do what we want to do, which is win games and put ourselves in good positions to win trophies, titles, you know, all of that. That's the mantra of the club. That is a good question. So we had an MRI taken of Raúl, and he has a slight hamstring issue. So he will be out for RSL. We will try and get him back for Lyon, but that will be up in the air.